Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 335 of Dial the Gate. My name is David Reed. Welcome to the Stargate Oral History Project. I have Jill Teed joining us for this episode. She portrayed Yolanda Reese, portraying the character of Stacey Monroe in Wormhole X-Treme, based on the character of Samantha Carter in Stargate SG-1, played by the actor Amanda Tapping, who was not in the feature film. How are we doing, Jill?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great, David.
And
how about yourself?
I am well, and
Yeah.
your lake back there is absolutely magnificent.
Oh, that ain't a lake. That's the ocean.
Oh, it's the ocean.
Yeah, you got it. Can we move this towel?
Yeah, there was no towel a moment ago, and now there's towel.
Yeah, our friend is on board, and he's trying to sabotage. He's a saboteur.
Oh gosh.
Very funny.
Okay, and just be careful your bits don't fall over the shorts there. There's probably kids. There's probably minors aboard.
My underwear still there? My underwear in the way?
No, you're good.
You're all good. Thank you so much for spending
there we
some.
go.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a great view. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. This it means a lot to me to have you. I have to say, the thing that, you know what, let me set that aside. I want to bring up Battlestar Galactica in a little bit here. And I want to dive right into this from the top. When you were going to be in Stargate SG-1, this was going to be the 100th episode of the series. And I'm going to come back around to your personal stuff in a second. They're telling you, okay, we don't want you in the show per se. We want you to be in the show within the show. Like when you saw this character, it's like, what is this? What level of this? How meta are we going here in this? Was it confusing at all, or did it make sense? Oh, they're parodying themselves. It's the 100th.
Yeah. No, it made total sense. And I don't know if now would be the time to bring it up, but I must have read for the show, David. It got annoying.
Yeah.
How many times I read for it. I actually read for Amanda's role as well. And, kind of was in the mix for that. And then I, later found out that, I can't remember who it is, but, somebody knew her, and that was it. The role was written for her. And so I read for Stargate so many times. And I always knew I wasn't quite right. Even at that stage in my career, I would look at it and it was like, Princess Leaky from whatever. Like, you guys fill in the blanks, because I'm sure y'all know every single episode and all the characters, but I would read, and Jackie Samuda would get it, or, like the girls that could play princess more than I do, or that kind of thing. And I literally got so sick of reading for it and not booking, which happens with some shows. It just they obviously like you and they're trying to find a place for you. And when the 100th came out, I got the sides. I looked at the audition. I was like, okay, this is the one.
You knew, you felt it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. And I think, I know Amanda, she's a friend of mine. Like, I just think that the similarity between our vibes are pretty similar. And I think that was important, because the other characters, it was all the same. Everybody kind of had like a little bit of similarity to the characters we were parodying, so yeah.
I'll tell you, Jill, this is not just because you said that. I mean, just earlier, but you could have played Samantha Carter. I mean, it makes sense on all kinds of levels. Looking at just watching you as a performer and your body of work, but you could have totally pulled that off. So it makes sense that they selected someone who had auditioned for the role to play her meta counterpart. So there's a cool symmetry there.
It was yes, very much so, and also like kind of a punch in the head. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we didn't give you the one that's going to make you buy the waterfront mansion. We're going to give you the other job. So you can be friends with Amanda and go to her waterfront mansion and and suck an egg.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, no, it's funny day. Listen, there's times when as an actor, you seem surprised when I said that, but sometimes I look at something and I go, oh yeah, I mean, they'd be crazy not to give me the job. And sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. But in that case, it felt pretty, it felt pretty right.
When did you know that this was going to be a career for you? How old were you? Was it an early dream of yours to become an actor, or was this something that came to you relatively later on in your upbringing? I'm curious. I always love to ask this question when I can, because it kind of paints the roadmap for what follows in the person's life.
Yeah. So I grew up in a very small town on the east coast of Canada, like 5,000 people.
Me too. Totally relate. Everyone knows everyone else's dirt.
Everyone knows everyone. And my dad was, one of the town doctors, and my mom was a nurse until she started, babyfying. And for my mother, the thought, like I wanted to be an actress and a singer.
So no career in medicine for you. Okay.
No, but I can skip ahead to that in a second. But for my mom especially, like I did everything I could. I was in drama in high school, in the club, in the local community theater. I did whatever I could do with the limited resources and the limited support, because my mother was like, you can't do that. He'll never do that. And I'm pretty stubborn. So really, I did go to uni, and I tried to go down, a different path that might give me something to fall back on. Yeah. And then it wasn't until I moved to Paris in my early 20s for just under a year. And, it was still this, like, how am I going to do it? And, my girlfriend was dating a guy at the time. His name was Xavier Deluc. And at the time he was quite a big French movie star. And, he and I had this discussion, and he set me up with a meeting with his agent. And, I had no experience whatsoever. She said, "Oh, do you have a CV? Do you have the demo reel?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I left all that back in Canada."
Good for you.
She knew I was full of it. But anyway, she did send me on a couple of auditions, and one of them was a commercial for the product Studio. It's a hair care. Do you know this Studio line? Studio line by L'Oreal.
I'm sure I've come across it. Yeah.
It's a L'Oreal product. Okay. Anyway, so I went to the audition, and I was also like, like the modeling thing was like, some of the modeling people were kind of get me into that in Paris, and that's a whole like yuck. So anyway, I went to the audition for this hair care. And, at the time my hair was like virgin hair, and it was long and quite glorious, and I must say. And the director was a male, not bad looking guy, but anyway, he said, do some twirls and flip your hair around and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he asked me in French, "What do you have on under your clothes?" And I said, "Underpants." And he wanted me to take my clothes off to continue doing the twirls. And, I don't know if you've ever been to France, but frequently they're naked. They're naked on TV all the time. Like they'll sit at the coffee shop naked. It makes no sense. But anyway, so I said no.
And I'm losing her right at, oh no, Starlink, don't fail us now.
That
Jill, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I lost you. You said, I said no thanks. Can you pick up there?
Yeah. I said no thanks. And then but just the combination of that experience, because it felt a little bit ballsy just going to these auditions and having no clue, and then that and the combination of Xavier kind of pushing me into it. And then I came back to Canada and just sent out my picture, got that all done. So I was in my early 20s when I started really professionally.
Wow. So I mean, we have to often, I can certainly think of experiences in my own life where I've kind of tested the waters and found myself in kind of the wrong exact spot, but otherwise in terms of of what I want to do, I'm ready to go. I just have to find the right spot. And in France, where many of them just have no modesty. I mean, in that culture, that would make sense, in some cases. But over here, it's like, no. So I'm glad that you found your voice in a culture where the things were different, and that you didn't just say, what the heck, No, you had a feeling about how this was going to go, and you're just like, no, I'm not going to do that. If I was French, maybe that would be different, but this is how I feel, and good for you.
Yeah. No, and I honestly think that experience, and then another experience when I was pregnant with my first daughter, who's 34 now, and I was reading for again another show that 21 Jump Street.
Yep.
I was reading for a character, or I was supposed to read for it. I was running through Central Park, and I get surrounded by a gang of men and attacked and assaulted. That's the audition piece. I'm pregnant, but not showing yet. And, I'm outside the room just getting ready, and I'm apoplectic.
Yeah.
At this point, I was so hormonal, but I probably would have booked the job. But casting director Michelle opened the door. She took one look at me. I was like, She said, you okay? I said, I'm pregnant. She said, go home. You're not doing this.
It didn't hit you until you were there.
Didn't hit me. My body told me. Yeah. My body told me. I am a big believer in listening very carefully to your body, and it tells us everything we need to know. Yep. But, I still was like, I have to go, and I got to get the job. And I went home, and it was those two experiences really shaped me as a performer. It helped me make boundaries. Like, I don't do, I'm not a victim of violence in the like choking, rapey, stabby, that kind of stuff. I've done, Mission to Mars. My head got blown up with a rock. Okay. But I've been very, that's different.
It's not the same thing at all.
Not totally the same. Now,
dying,
the rock the rock might have been a male rock, but anyway.
Oh my God. You can push your body into doing certain things, but at what cost? When it says, I'm going to be optimal here, I can't, I think it was oh gosh, come on, help me, brain, who it was, but I can't think of it right now. But it's one of the actors who I've had on. I'm a French horn, you know. I see myself as I'm in the brass section. This is what I'm good at. This is what I do, you know. And so when I see parts that are brass section related, so to speak, aw, who is this?
This is the scene stealer. This is the focus puller.
What is your name?
His name is Finn, and he's a very good boy.
Aw, it's a Finn. What a good boy.
He's a really good boy. Anyway, sorry.
But to have an actor know your skills, to know what like group of parts you're built for. Sure, you can step outside every once in a while and into other things, but to really know what you're good at first and foremost, I think is a positive trait, and what you're interested in pursuing. So.
Yeah. It does help. And that's why really now, David and everyone, I really enjoy mentoring. I coach, and I work with, it seems that I am best kind of at working with adolescents up to, and into the 20s and whatnot. I have older clients too, but that's the age group that, and in my classes or when I'm working with people, it's like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Thank you. That you're not comfortable doing, i.e., in fact, one of my clients just booked a job. It's finished now. It's airing sort of in 2 parts right now. And she's 18 now. Started working with her when she was 13, but
wow.
She got to set, and it's she's the lead. She's the number 1 in this. It's a polygamous cult movie based on a true story. And she gets there, and they're like, okay, so we're gonna this scene, when we get to this scene, and so there were like a couple of much older men that were, they were going to be having these like kind of like love scenes and everything, and she phoned me. She was kind of freaking out, and I said, well, where's your intimacy coordinator? And that's a role now. Thank heavens. They have someone on board, even if it's just a hug, if it's a anything.
No, if the talent wants it, they should be there. It's the separate conversation if they don't want them involved for something, but if they need to be available to them if the talent wants it.
Yes. Yeah. And that was it was kind of one of those, oh yeah, we'll have them, but then suddenly she's there, and I said, no, get the agent, get the manager.
That's correct.
And then in comes the intimacy coordinator, and it helped her get through these scenes. So
it's all about boundaries, just making clear what everyone is going to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. On the screen it can look spontaneous, but you figure everything out beforehand. Is there everyone's going to know me saying this. There are a few jobs more important than teaching, and I'm thrilled that you do it. And I can totally tell from your personality that it would completely work. So
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Is there a role, Jill, that you have had a chance to play that affected you in ways that you didn't expect, or that you've carried with you across your life or a period of time that influenced you in ways that you didn't predict? Is there an experience that you can share?
I mean, there are certainly roles that, because people's questions are always like, oh, what's your favorite? And they expect me to say, oh, the big features that I've worked on, for example. I mean, meeting Hugh Jackman was pretty nice in X-Men. Yeah, that was pretty nice. Meeting the old Hugh Jackman guy. I was such a geek around him, though. I was so insecure. Like, I was such a loser. Like,
no.
Where are you from? He's like, I'm from Sydney. I'm like, oh, Sydney, cool. It's Sydney, a nice town. Like, I was such a dork, honestly. And I don't get starstruck at all.
It happens when
It
you
wasn't
least
that I-
expect it.
It wasn't that I
Yeah.
was even starstruck so much. It was like, he's a fucking smoke show, you guys. He's like hot and tall and like manly. And I had just had a baby, so I was like kind of, oh, little like anyway, but no, shows that I to this day, honestly, one of my favorite, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it was it was an episode of The Outer Limits called What Will the Neighbors Think? And it was we were given such freedom. And it was, because and that this was all kind of during the time of X-Files and then X-Files acting, so everyone, you go to an audition and you do nothing. You do absolutely. Oh yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one. And that
Directed by Helen
actually,
Shaver.
yeah. So afterwards, when we were all, we're on set and it was basically, have you seen that, David?
I have, but it's been a while. So it would have been
Yeah,
when it ran.
Okay. So, yeah, my character was Tori Beth, Queen of Rage, part bile, part jaundice. And so it was kind of like the archetype, like the archetypes, I guess that's the right word.
Yeah.
But, you had your jock, you had your,
Oh, sure.
your greaser, you had the, and, Helen just let us go crazy. And it was, it was over the top, and God, was it fun, because this whole, the X-Files, I mean, obviously, massively huge hit. And but it really caught on that style where everybody was supposed to be like really contained and everything. And I appreciate that. Like when you see really good acting and it's all coming from here, and it's you can read their mind basically, like it's so good. But sometimes it's fun just to let it rip, and that was a blast, that show.
You don't always have to be subdued to get your point across. And I'm glad that Helen was brave enough to say, this one, it's balls to the walls, man. Here we go. We're going to take you on a ride. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch the episode because I watched them all. It was great. Another Bridge Studios production.
Yeah. So now I watch, I look back at that and go, oh, like it's so dated now and everything. But, each day I'd sit in hair and makeup and, she'd go, okay, what are we doing today? And all these crazy wigs and we just had such freedom. And just trying to think if there's anything else that, I mean, I did a movie last summer that was really fun.
Okay.
It came out it's aired in the States. They changed it's one of these, Lifetime
Is
or
it
whatever
Hoax?
things, but
The Kidnapping of Sherry
No.
Papini?
no,
Okay.
it's called oh no, that was interesting. That was an interesting experience.
Didn't mean to derail you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, that was Janie was an interesting girl. I like her a lot. She's just that was interesting. What was it called? It came out as The Last Thing She Said.
The Last Thing She Said. Okay.
It might be called Swept Under the Rug if you're looking at like they changed it. It was a working title.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that was actually a different role for me because it was I was the psycho with the I'm the single mom with the kid that has never left home, and he's kind of weird, and he's very weird and never going to get a girlfriend, and I want me a grandbaby some bad. So like we kidnap this woman and trap her in the basement and like chain her to the bed, and I'm going to like, take the container in the room, son, and do what you're supposed to do so I can get it inside the girl.
Oh,
I mean, like, I've never done that kind of character before. It was a blast, actually. It was really fun.
There's something to be said for playing characters so extremely outside of yourself, but B, it's like, they want me to do what? How will this play? Will people even buy this?
I mean, you're assuming that being psychotic is very outside of my I
am assuming. This is true. This is most definitely
I have
true.
two people around here right now who are like, no, not so far off. But no, it's because I've always done these, the astronaut and the Navy SEAL and the
Sure.
the kind of in charge lady.
Mm-hmm.
The older I get, funny enough, I thought when I was 30, okay, that's it. Then I'm like, okay, now I'm 40. Okay, now that's really it. And then the characters are just getting more interesting.
Yes.
Or maybe it's just that I, approach it differently and want to find more layers and more levels and whatnot in the work.
Or maybe people are discovering your layers as you present them through the work that you're doing. There's some of that too.
Yeah. No, it's they're definitely, because certainly when I was in my sort of 20s and 30s, I felt a little bit typecast, I guess, the detective and the yeah.
You present yourself as
like
sure of yourself,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, probably my favorite role of yours is from Battlestar Galactica, Sergeant Hadrian.
That's funny. Yeah.
I loved this character because the thing that I love about good sci-fi is it's not right versus wrong. It's right versus right, or wrong versus wrong. There are no good choices. And in the first season, there was a couple of episodes.
Say that again. I like that. I like that.
It's not always when sci-fi and good story present us with a problem. It's not always right versus wrong. Very often, it's right versus right, or wrong versus wrong, when there are no good choices. And there was an episode of Battlestar called Litmus, which presented this, where Commander Adama, played by the inestimable Edward James Olmos, calls a this was she the sergeant at arms, or she was basically the one to investigate an incident that happened aboard the ship.
That's right.
And
an airlock was
that's right, and led to something happening. And it goes into a tribunal where she's basically running the show, your character, Sergeant Hadrian. And they just take it from one level to the next, where we're suddenly in a situation where...
Oh, get him to stop. Sorry. Finn. Arrête.
Where...
Oh, God, sorry.
You're doing the right thing. You're following chain of command and procedure. But Adama doesn't like where it's going. And he puts a stop to it. And it's like, hold on just a second here. What we're trying to do, your character's trying to solve this problem. And as Michelle Forbes' character, Admiral Kane, says the second season, you quit it because you didn't like the verdict. And it's like, whoa, okay, in this situation, you've got a civilization that's almost extinct, and you've got one guy calling the shots, and he's thinking about humanity, where your character's perspective is thinking about this specific situation and right versus wrong. And it's a great drama. It's a great use of character and two people who are absolutely in the right, but you have an impasse. And that's great science fiction.
I love that. I have actually never heard it put that way.
Thank you.
Yes, I like that a lot. That was another interesting time, and so often, like, I went on the set of iZombie, and everybody's like, oh, I loved your performance in Battlestar Galactica. I'm like, I have some other credits.
I'm sorry.
I did go through. No. I did go through that. And it's just interesting to me. It's interesting to hear your perspective, and to hear people and why they I mean, the show was a huge hit, obviously. What was I going to say? At the time
Yeah.
that I did that, I had just finished a one-woman show, a theater piece called Miss Margarida's Way. I don't know if you're familiar with it,
I'm
but
not.
it's
Tell me a little bit about
an
it.
hour. It's an hour and 45-minute long, one woman piece, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
It actually is terrifying. You don't have anybody else on the stage to catch you if you fall or to, what didn't that, don't you want the Kleenex box or whatever
Yeah.
to help you get back? It was full of non sequiturs. It was written by a Brazilian called Roberto Alfede during the time of Pinochet and the Chilean dictator, and there was a lot of dictatorships happening in South America at that time. So this piece was told through the voice of a grade 8 school teacher, grade 8, because that's the time when people really start, the hormones start kicking in,
Right.
people really start, and it was interactive with the audience, and they're my students.
Oh, wow. So you're experiencing them in the room like they're there because they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's
So
cool. Okay.
the fourth wall was broken.
Okay.
And it was, I don't know if you've heard of Larry Moss,
Name rings a bell.
the acting teacher, like Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Thanked him during her Oscar speech for Boys Don't Cry. He's from LA. He's kind of like, he went through a huge time when, everybody was like, Larry Moss, and he would come to Vancouver and, we would do his classes and I did his class, and he was the one that recommended that piece to me. And I was pregnant again with my second child at the time. And I bought the play and I read the play when I was pregnant. I was like, what the hell is this play about? It's a crazy play. It really is. And it's a metaphor for, politics, for political regimes, for that sort of control. But if you think about someone like, oh, I don't want to say his name. Let's say, well, Saddam Hussein, or, any fascist, any dictator,
Mhm.
there's this kind of, there's obviously the control piece and the power piece, but there's also this kind of, seduction and wanting, the narcissism, and wanting the adoration and wanting the love, and so it was like that. So by turns, the character is, 1 minute I will love you and I will take care of you, that kind of thing, and then the next minute, like, she goes completely off, and it was a very challenging piece, and an hour and 45 minutes.
So
And
you run the gamut.
Yeah. So I started learning the lines a couple weeks after my son was born. And I thought it was just a great way to sort of work on, the baby brain.
Yeah.
But, you just kind of get a little bit mushy in the head. So I started working the lines, and I gave myself like 20 minutes a day, minimum 20 minutes a day, and just, start chipping away at this piece. And so all that to say is I had just wrapped the show and a lot of talking, and I was really tired of my sound of my own voice. And then I booked Battlestar Galactica, and wasn't that like just a lot of me talking, talk, 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 talk. Cause like, God,
Here we go again.
Somebody shut me up. So,
Thank you, Starlink. Wait for her to come back.
or they're good to work on. I must say, there's just a really sort of the crew is all really solid. Everybody, everybody likes what they're doing, and yeah.
So let's go back to Stargate. You've booked
Okay.
you've booked Wormhole X-Treme.
Yeah.
It's the 100th episode.
Yeah.
tell me about getting into this character. How do you get into a character that's a character? If that makes any sense. Does that make sense? Like you're playing an actor playing a character.
Yeah.
At a certain point you're playing both of them. She has a little thing for Jack, of course, because they're going to lean into that, you know. How you doing? Because Sam does on one level or another. Tell me about that role, the role itself.
Right. So they, in order to try and help us prepare, you know, we got tapes of, you know, I was to watch Amanda doing her thing, and are you guys gonna like cut me off if I say I really like didn't watch the show?
It's all right.
I didn't. I don't really watch TV that much. So
Sure nailed it.
You know, studied her as much as I could, and then just brought my own ideas to the table, and that was, and then you know, play off the other actors. They were great. What's his face?
So you had Michael DeLuise.
DeLuise, he's great.
Christian Boucher,
and
Douglas
Douglas
Herbert Duncanson.
Herbert Duncanson.
That's it. I got him.
It was great. That was so much fun. And again, you guys are going to think I have like 100 children. I only have 2. Again, I was pregnant with my son, not showing yet, like early days. You know, we're doing all this, you know, we're doing our own stunts where we're like diving through the Stargate and landing on the, you know, the pads and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, oh, I hope this baby survives this job. Oh, we had a hoot. It was just, you know, and breaking the fourth wall again and turning the camera around on the crew and everyone in the shot, everyone in the movie. It was great. It was lots of fun.
So it was never irritating, like, okay, these foam rocks, they're not even trying, or was it really accepting of the fact that this is the point? We really are going there. Let's make it as 1960s shoestring budget cornball as possible.
Oh yeah.
And
no,
sincere. It's not you know, joking about it. It's joking about it with the people who love it.
That's right. Yeah. No, it was great. It was great. Oh yeah. No, it was that was definitely one of my favorite shows. That kind of, you know, I want to do more comedy. Actually, I want to do, you know, recently I've had a couple of auditions for comedic stuff, and I'd like to head more in that direction for sure. It's a lot of fun.
You've got
it's harder. It's more difficult, but it's harder.
But I mean,
it's fun.
You got to stretch yourself in some ways, and there's nothing like we need comedy more than ever. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I'm remembering. Oh dang it! It's in a box downstairs, but. I got season 5.
God, is it a person?
No,
please say no.
No, at least not in that box. I got a few months ago, and there's an episode on Dial the Gate of me going through the Stargate trading cards, and you guys got your own for season 5. One of the subsets in the season 5 trading card deck is a Wormhole X-Treme deck where you guys all got to do your autographs. Yeah. And it was like an addendum to the normal signed autographs in these packs where they're like, you know what? We're just going to pretend for this season that it's a real show. And they went all out. There's a section in there of those cards. It's one of the prides of my Stargate collection. Who gets to do that?
Seriously, I love it. You know, I really liked doing that actually. I love my daughter actually just told me the other day, she's her husband is he's a, you know, sci-fi guy, and you know, he loves all that stuff, and he's like, why don't you do, you know, more conventions? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm just not very good at sort of self-promotion. I'm just not. And you know, if I hear of one or somebody asks me to do it, I'll be like, sure, you know, because I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting the fans. I really do. They're, you know, like I'll never forget the very first one I did. It was in London, England. It was
Yep.
Terrell was working with what was his name? Richard. I want to say Richard. She was, helping coordinate she was at every single one of them.
Was this Richard Pascoe?
And
Was this GateCon London?
Yeah.
They did a London one, yeah.
Yeah. And there was a boy, in line and to get it to, come and talk to me, get an autograph and stuff. And you guys, I'm pretty down to earth. I'm just that's you know what I mean. I just go like we're all in this together, and
we're all meat bags.
We're all gonna corrode. We're all just meat puppets, and but he was like, I'm gonna say about 14, and the kind of gawky and kind of braces and all that stuff, and he came to my table and he was. I know, it like actually made me cry. It was so sweet. And I got up and I hugged him and he was like, like the frozen stick body.
Right. You threw him for a loop.
Like, oh, come on. What do you want? Let's go. Like, what do you want here? Anyway, my daughter's husband, he's decided he wants to manage me and like take me to do these conventions and stuff. I don't know if people are still doing.
There's a Stargate convention a couple of times a year. I would love to see you at more of them. And only do the ones that you want. They just had one in Germany. I mean, Sam Jones just did one, and he had one episode, as Eris Bach.
Well, how do you get it? How do I do it? I don't even know how to do it.
You have to keep your ear to the ground with what's going on. I can.
I'm really bad at that.
Let me stay in touch with you, and if you want me to connect me with him, I can. I have my ear to the ground with the convention circuit, so we can definitely make that happen. And you can do them or not do them. And you know what? They're always happening. I mean, geez, we're almost at 30 years at this point. They're really not going away right now, but that's great. I'm glad to hear it. Because there are more and more Stargate fans being born as this thing is now on streaming. You've got 3 generations, almost 4 of fans watching this thing now.
Wow. So, like how many people are there?
Right now?
Yeah.
You've got 45 watching.
45,000. It better be 45,000, David.
Give me some time.
Okay, how many does Amanda get?
I've not had Amanda on. I can't get her. But my record, I think, was almost 5,000 for Cliff Simon's memorial. So.
No.
And that was for someone who wasn't even with us anymore. Did you?
Oh my God! They had 5,000 for a dead guy, and I got 45. Well, I appreciate y'all. There.
This is, I mean, that's just the people who are live watching with us now. But there will be more later on when because it stays online.
Oh, David!
Did you have any idea that? Oh my God! They're calling me back. 5 seasons, 5 years later. They're doing the 200th and they want to do it again.
I know. It was much different, obviously.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was like, I want to say one day.
Yeah.
It quick and dirty. Yeah, it wasn't the same at all. I sort of just, I just go, yeah, I did the 100th. Oh yeah, I did the 200th too, didn't I? Oh well. It wasn't, it was, yeah.
I pop in.
Okay. Yeah, it was a pop in. Yeah, exactly. But that London GateCon thing was so cute because I was like surprised. As a matter of fact, it was Steve Basic. Steve Basic was going, and we worked out at the same gym, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going over to do this thing," and I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" Anyway, he, it was a couple days away, and he said, "Oh well, I'll give you the guy's contact." So I don't know. Email was even a thing then.
Yes.
I might have sent a carrier pigeon with a message to Richard, and it happened pretty quickly, and he booked me on the flight. So I was the surprise guest at that thing.
That's great.
Yeah, which was fun. And then, but what was really cute is that there was four people who were dressed up as the Wormhole X-Treme
Characters.
gang. So, the girl found the wig online that kind of looked like my hair and did all, it was so funny. It was very cute.
People can get
Yeah.
into it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
There.
know, but
Yes,
we have Dial the Gate's sister channel is a rewatch channel, and it is called The Wormhole Extremists.
Say that again.
The Wormhole Extremists.
No, just fill in the blanks because I was
Dial the Gate's sister channel is a rewatch channel, and it's called The Wormhole Extremists. There's three of us, and so that's what we call ourselves.
Fun.
So
cute.
it's a joke within the joke.
I love the joke within the joke, David. Clever.
I've got a few fan questions for you if you have a little bit more time.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Raj Luthra, we kind of already covered this, but I'm curious to see if you have anything to say further based on our conversation. He said, in Wormhole X-Treme, what was it like juxtaposing two characters at the same time? Or was it kind of like just one version was very similar to the other?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lockwatcher.
Does that answer your question,
Yeah,
Raj?
sure. Lockwatcher says, how did working on a film like Mission to Mars compare to something like Stargate?
Oh, well, let's see. Mission to Mars, I booked and I had what's called a picture deal on that. So they owned me for around 6 months, 4 months, something like that.
I didn't know that was still a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was unable to do, anything else at the time. And there were many, many, many days where we would go to set and Brian De Palma would just change his mind about something and, oh, that doesn't work. Change the whole thing. And, so we would sit in our trailers and do nothing. And I mean, for the amount of time that I was in that movie before the rock in the face, you wouldn't believe how much work it was, or how much work and also how much not work, sitting in a trailer waiting for the crew to completely repaint or rebuild or
Yeah, film is a lot of sitting. Yeah.
In that case, it was a ton of sitting. Like those big features, it can be a lot of sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Whereas Stargate was, let's go. Oh, Jill, you ready? Okay, they're ready for you. Let's go, 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 go. Constant. Yeah. Because it was, we're in almost every shot and, all the, yeah. So, and I think it was like, I want to say 8 days, Monday to Friday, then a Monday to, yeah. So they're very different. It's a very different experience shooting those big features, big budget features,
Chris,
where they've got,
yeah.
Or like X-Men 2, where there's all the car explosions and all that kind of stuff. Like that takes a lot of time. Right.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah, especially with, you've got like a team like Stargate. They've been together since MacGyver. So they're really on it, and they're not going to have a Brian De Palma coming in and say, you know what? I don't like it.
Yeah. Hey, give me another smoke. Assistant, get my ashtray. It's full. Empty it. Oh my. Sorry. I shouldn't say anything like that.
If anything sticks out, it's nothing is out of bounds here.
Oh yeah, he was.
I'm mostly kidding, but yeah. Christian wanted to know, what is it like working with John Rhys-Davies?
Oh, wait. I have to look up who that is.
He was in Indiana Jones as Sala. He was Gimli in Lord of the Rings. He was in Sliders.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, did I work with him in Sliders?
Is it Sliders? Let me see here. It probably would have been Sliders, The Weaker Sex. Okay. So he was unremarkable.
I
didn't watch him in Sliders, so yeah,
don't
Sliders.
remember.
It is Sliders. Yeah.
Did I actually work with him in
The
that
chat
show?
is saying yes.
Oh, sorry, you guys.
It's all
like
good.
a long
If
time
it that's a long
ago.
time ago. If it doesn't spawn a memory, that's okay. So
Yeah,
we do
no,
a lot of
it's-
sifting through memory here in this show. So
Okay.
no,
I
it's all
mean,
good.
if you asked me who are the actors that I, remember and why do I remember them, I can say that because I've worked with
Of course.
a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and like I said, mostly, and anybody that's got a name,
Mm-hmm.
a big name, they're generally really awesome,
Legit.
respectful. Yeah, respectful, respectful of the crew. They're caring, they're kind, they're grateful, they're gracious, generally speaking. It's the ones that are like, once was daddy was the producer of some big stuff, and
Yep.
his son was on, this show, and he was like insufferable. But no, nobody knew his name. But he was not, he wasn't all those things that I said. So
You couldn't flush that one down the toilet because someone's protecting him. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, God knows where he is now, but I saw him in the one thing, and I was like, oh my God, are you painful?
I know what that one feels like on the road, like a speed bump.
Yeah. There's no need for it. There's just no need for it.
You're going to get all kinds of different personalities, no matter what industry you're in. Eventually you're going to go high up enough where you're going to find people who are just kind of stuck, and everyone around them is just kind of dealing with them. And again, they have all the personality of a speed bump. So you do what you can.
Yeah.
Jill, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, and let's I'd love to see it more at more Stargate conventions. Anything that we should be on the lookout for in the near future? Anything going on? Are you open to more sci-fi?
Oh yeah, always. There's just not that much. There's not really much sci-fi done here anymore. I mean, I work in Canada. Like there was a stage where I thought, going to go to the States and get the green card and do all that, but it just, it just didn't happen. So, there's not a ton of sci-fi here at the moment, but yeah, like I'm open to anything. But yeah, I'm up for a couple things. I can't say anything about it right now, but yeah, they're fun. It's more along the comedic side of things.
Okay. Comedic and sci-fi, or just comedic?
No, more comedic. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So if Megan Mullally's busy, maybe I can book something. I'm not even kidding. Like sometimes I find out, oh, okay, Megan Mullally got that part. Huh. Maybe I shouldn't feel so bad.
Right? Leah Remini, I read her book a few years ago, and she was also like, oh God, there's Aniston. She's got it. There's just certain people that you are similar enough to that you just keep on seeing at your auditions. And hopefully, like one of the things that I've seen had a lot on this with this show is a lot of those people are friends. It's like, hey, how you doing? If I don't get it, I hope you do.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. No,
it's a small group of people up there. Not as small as it once was. During Stargate. Don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sadly, since COVID, we haven't had in-person auditions. For 5 years.
I know.
So the community that one day I was on I was going to post it. I didn't, but I sat down on I was going to put something on Facebook that, all these ladies, particularly ladies that I miss seeing,
Yeah.
Angela Moore and Cheryl Rothery and, Venus Terzo and Catherine Lowe and And I just kept typing. And suddenly I had this like really long list of these fantastic women that, we don't see each other anymore.
Yeah.
We don't see each other.
COVID atomized us.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless I have a separate friendship with somebody, which I do with some of them, but that's a little bit sad. Our community has really, you have to get to set, and hopefully, there's a few of us locals working on it, and
it's great
so
that they've
it's
cast
just
a
changed
wider
lot.
net with the Zoom interviews and auditions, but at the same time, you have to be able to prove that you can take a note and pivot, and
yeah, actually my friend that's on board here today was working on a show, and the number one didn't know his lines, like embarrassingly so. So, he did his audition. He probably read his lines right from a cue card or whatever, and got to set, and he said it was like really bad.
You're in front of 100
really
people
bad.
then. You're not when you do the Zoom thing, and pre-tape it. It's just you have to get your feet wet and get in with people, otherwise I wonder if at some point they're going to sunset some of it, because it's like we like the extra bodies that we get in terms of being able to increase the breadth of the audition, but at the same time, you need to have, like you said, the person-to-person interaction, the connecting with people, because that's how you network. You can send an email to a couple of people, but you need to make eye contact with someone and say, you know what? I was thinking about something and you would be perfect for it, and it didn't hit me until you were right in front of me.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's, at the same time, it has allowed me to, come and
It's true.
do this. I have I go downstairs and do auditions, and I just, FaceTime with one of my clients, and she reads for me, and I do, so I can be anywhere. I was just in Italy actually for 3 weeks and did a couple of auditions over there, and they have no idea where I am. I make it look, all they need is a good, decent lighting and decent sound, and I can read anywhere I want.
Does the job.
So that's kind of nice. David, it was a real pleasure.
Really
to
wonderful.
Meet you.
I thank you for taking so much time with me.
Yeah, I was, I don't know why I was nervous. I wasn't.
Just
yes,
me.
I was. Just a little bit nervous. I didn't know if it was going to be all like, the Zoom faces all like coming at you.
No, I only do that to people I don't like.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you, David, and keep in touch about.
I will. I'll keep you in the loop. I'm going to wrap up the show on this end, but you take care of yourself out there, and take care of the little one.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
That was Jill Teed, who played Yolanda Reese and Stacey Monroe in Stargate SG-1's Wormhole X-Treme. And you know what? I don't have my tie on. I feel like a chump. Jeez. We had a previous Stargate episode, Dial the Gate episode, and I was all comfortable for that, and I didn't put a tie on for her. I want to let you know, this episode is dedicated to Esbeen Heinck, whose husband misses her greatly. Someone who is a part of Dial the Gate and has done some work for us. So, Esbeen, this was for you. My name is David Reed. We are going to be bringing you another episode tomorrow, and that one is going to be Barclay Hope, who played Colonel Lionel Pendergast in Stargate SG-1 for several episodes and gave his life along with the character, gave his life along with Prometheus. Big thanks to my producers, Anthony Rowling, Kevin Weaver, and Linda Gategabber-Fury, my moderating team. You guys couldn't do this job without you. Anthony, Jeremy, Kevin, Lockwatcher, Marcia, Raj, and Jacob. And a big thank you to Frederick Marcoux over at Concepts Web. He keeps dialthegate.com up and running. If you enjoy the show, and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, please click the like button. It does make a difference with the show and will continue to help us grow. And please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click subscribe. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next few weeks on both the Dial the Gate and gateworld.net YouTube channels. My name is David Reed, and I appreciate you all tuning in. I will see you on the other side.